We lost the war. We're getting weaker. Iran's getting stronger. Understand this. We're running out of PAC-3 interceptors. We're running out of Tomahawks. We're running out of ATACMS and other long-range strike weapons. Iran is actually building more missiles, more drones. Iran is getting stronger. They just unveiled a new category of missile, the Rod-3, which has, ICBM-type, capabilities attached to it.
Scotty, how dangerous is this to American sovereignty and to American security?
It's fatal. Look, the United States is the United States of America. We're a constitutional republic. That's the only thing we are. We're not anything other than that. If we don't adhere to the Constitution, the values of the Constitution, we're no longer the United States of America. We're not the United States of Israel. Israel is not the 51st state. Israel is a sovereign nation. There needs to be a Chinese wall separating the United States from Israel. But it's not just this. The underlying current, the philosophy behind this is somehow America and Israel are the same, that they're just like us. No, Israel has been elevated by the U.S. counterintelligence community as a critical threat. That means Israel is carrying out active espionage against the United States as we speak. Their number one targets are defense industrial targets and our national security. Jonathan Pollard, one of the greatest traitors in American history, has now, taken his parole and gone to Israel. He compromised the greatest secrets we had, the Bible, about how we did signals intelligence. He gave that to Israel. And then Israel sold it to the Soviet Union to get preferential treatment, to get people out. So Israel sold America's secrets to the Soviet Union at the height of the Cold War. Israel is not the friend of the United States. Israel is an enemy of the United States. If you don't view Israel as a parasite and America as the host and understand what it means when the parasite attaches itself to the host, then you don't understand how utterly devastating this legislation being proposed is. It would be the end of America, the death of America. We have to stop this at all costs.
Scotty, what off-ramp is available for Trump other than just coming home and admitting this was a mistake?
Well, I think the key is the Strait of Hormuz and getting energy flowing through the Strait of Hormuz in a consistent, predictable manner. This is critical for global the global economy, and it's critical for the American economy. Donald Trump hinted at what I think could be a possible solution. If you remember early on, he said, America is going to take control of the Strait of Hormuz, and we're going to apply a 20% tariff. So the first thing he did is legitimize the concept of a tariff. Now with the deal between Oman and Iran, Oman is going to have a corridor. 50% of the outgoing traffic is going to be controlled by the Omanis. I think there could be a side deal between Trump and the Omanis where America gets a piece of that action. And then Donald Trump gets to say that because we're getting a piece of the action, that implies that we have American control over the Strait of Hormuz. Also, that we're part of the guarantee of security. We're not totally subordinating it to Iran. And that gives him a political out. And I think that might be the way out for him. Look, we've already withdrawn the bulk of our troops from Bahrain. The 5th Fleet headquarters is non-functional, and the American troops in Kuwait are likewise being withdrawn. If Donald Trump can say, I have secured the Strait of Hormuz, I am responsible for securing global energy, therefore there's no longer a need for American military troops in the Middle East, I am the great peacemaker, that could also provide him out. As Pepe and Larry know, and you know, Judge, and your audience knows, this is all a smokescreen. We lost the war, but Donald Trump can't admit that he lost the war. He has to find some way to say, because of me, I've made the security of the world safer. I'm the greatest thing since sliced bread. Vote for me.
Scotty, I want to wade into this issue of how depleted American military supplies are. Trump, according to the Washington Post, accused Hegseth of not being candid with him. The White House has denied of the dispute. Trump says we have all the military equipment we need. That can't possibly be true.
No, it's not. What we do know is that the uh, ammunition allocated for use in the Middle East theater of operations has it's gone. They're down to literally nothing. They have been able to rob Peter to pay Paul. They go to the Pacific. They draw down stocks in the Pacific. They draw down stocks in Europe in order for Hegseth to tell Trump we can sustain this fight for X number of days further. But what then Trump is being told by the commander of Pacific Theater and the commander of European forces is we no longer have conventional military power capable of deterring or containing or prevailing in any conflict with either China over Taiwan or Russia over the Baltics. You took away all the weapons we have. We've got nothing, which means there's a sort of a universal revolution taking place in the Pentagon saying that we're out of ammunition, Mr. President. Not only, if you continue to fight with the Iranians and drawing down even further, you're not going to get a different outcome. There's no magic formula to change the fact that we lost this war. We don't have a winning hand, but you're weakening us across the board. This is a global weakening of American military power. This is why, for instance, the Trump administration is redoing the nuclear posture right now, because they have to talk about if we went to war with China tomorrow over Taiwan and we have no conventional munitions, what do we do? And the answer is the early use of tactical nuclear weapons. Your audience needs to understand that. As we speak, the Trump administration is redoing our nuclear posture so that we can use tactical nuclear weapons early on in a conflict in larger numbers. Now, this is suicide. The moment we use it, it goes to general nuclear war. But that's the only option we have left because Pete Hegseth lied to the president, misled the president. And the president allowed these drawdowns to take place until we are not only weak in the Middle East, we're weak in Europe and in the Pacific as well.
Scotty, last topic. Will we see a more aggressive Russian military strategy in Ukraine, or will we see more of President Putin's patience?
Well, I think you're going to see a combination of both. I mean, the patience is that Russia will not expand this conflict into Europe. The aggression is that Russia has closed the door on negotiations and has taken the gloves off, and we're looking at the total destruction of Ukraine as the modern nation state occurring before our very eyes. The Russians have, achieved, a very important posture. They have exhausted Ukraine's air defense. Ukraine has no viable air defense today, which means that once Russia identifies a target, Russia will destroy the target. And thanks to Ukrainian stupidity, the target deck is now expanded to include not just purely military targets, but critical economic targets that are literally squeezing the life out of Ukraine as we speak. So all you have to do is take a look at the targets that are being struck and the damage being done. The Black Sea has been cut off from Ukraine. They no longer have access to the sea. 60% of their economy is non-existent anymore. Can't get the market. They can't get crops out of the field. They can't generate income. This is the death of Ukraine. We're watching literally the death of Ukraine. This could have happened 2-3 years ago militarily, but it couldn't have happened politically. What people have to understand is that Vladimir Putin has been balancing, a very delicate international diplomatic game. He's been playing the economic game in Russia and courting international investors, and he's been managing the domestic political, temperature in Russia. All of the things have been managed to the point that right now it is literally the perfect storm when it comes to being able to apply nation-killing damage to Ukraine. There's no nation in the world that can stand up to Russia, but more importantly, there's no nation in the world that is willing to stand up to Russia because Russia has outmaneuvered every single one of them. And Vladimir Putin's like the guy playing that rapid chess game against 50 people, and he's winning every single match.
Wow. Larry, before you respond.
We're getting weaker. Iran's getting stronger. Understand this. we're running out of PAC-3 interceptors. We're running out of Tomahawks. We're running out of ATACMS and other long-range strike weapons. Iran is actually building more missiles, more drones. Iran is getting stronger. They just unveiled a new category of missile, the Rod-3, which has, ICBM-type, capabilities attached to it. Iran is getting stronger, not weaker. This war is lost. The longer we wage this war against Iran, or the longer we prolong conflict termination, the stronger Iran gets. I mean, the best thing we can do from a national security perspective is end the war today, because this is as good as it's going to get for the United States.